Okay, so now that I've read all my sentence stems and I know that it's fiction, I'm going to be thinking about the elements of fiction as I read through the passage. I'm going to look for character, setting, conflict, turning point, and the resolution that makes up the plot. And so I'm going to annotate for those things as I go and as I read. So I know this is an excerpt, and I know there's a boy, a father, and a mother, something about camp. So let's do this. All right. The conference the conference didn't start off all that bad. Mrs. Farrell told my parents how smart she thought I was, and how funny, and how they should be proud of my winning personality. Okay, so they're in a conference. It seems like they're in a conference with his teacher or with his parents. So we've got a conference going on. His parent in a they're in a conference with parents and talking about him. He's a true original, was how she put it. She would be Mrs. Farrell. Humph, harumphed my dad, who didn't seem all that impressed. Well, we do think he's a funny, great kid, said my mom, looking on the bright side as usual, but he needs to find a way to know when to be funny and when to be serious. There's plenty of time to be serious, I argued. I have my whole adult life to be serious. Charlie Joe, enough. That was Dad. Okay, so um his parents, Charlie Joe's parents thinks parents think he needs to act better, to be more serious, to be more serious. But Joe doesn't think that. He took a deep breath. That was Dad. He took a deep breath. Ever since you got into middle school, your grades have been getting worse and worse. It's time to buckle down. It would be bad parenting if we just sat here while you threw your talents away. And he is Dad, and he's saying that he doesn't want him to throw his school away, that what he's talented at, what he's good at. So Dad doesn't want Charlie to throw away what he's good at. Just because he's being silly and not making good grades. And look at this. It said, contribute to the plot, the conflict. So I know this right here, this conversation is contributing to this whole story. The Mrs. Farrell and the mom and dad want him to do better in school, and because they don't want him to throw his life away, because they know how smart he can be. And Charlie Joe's like, there's plenty of time to be serious. I've got my whole adult life to be serious. So that's setting me up. I know that things are going to happen with this. Before I could decide if I wanted to argue or not, Miss Farrell reached into her desk and pulled out some sort of pamphlet. I do have an idea that you might want to consider. I glanced nervously at the pamphlet. I was pretty sure it wasn't exactly an invitation to a video school game. My dad looked at the front. Camp Ritabuki, he said, smiling. Am I pronouncing that correctly? Mrs. Farrell nodded. Indeed. I gagged. Camp Rita Bookie? Are you serious? All right. It's a wonderful summer camp, Miss Farrell said, with equal emphasis on sports and academics. All right. So Miss Farrell wants, I'm just going to say Charlie, to go to camp. And Charlie is not happy about that. He is not happy at all about this. Sorry, I forgot that y'all couldn't see that. Apologize. So in this, Miss Farrell took out a pamphlet, and it's to go to summer camp for reading and academics, and Charlie's not happy. All right. My dad thumbed through the brochure. Looks interesting. I was too horrified to form any actual words. This was my summer they were messing with. Miss Farrell looked at me. Now, Charlie Joe, I know what you're going to say about the idea of going to a place like this, but I wouldn't suggest it if I didn't think you would enjoy it. Yes, it's got some classwork, but it's also a typical summer camp with games and dances and all of that kind of stuff. Poor clueless Miss Farrell. She didn't understand that games and dances were just as much of a turnoff as classwork. Okay, so Miss Farrell's talking here, and I know Charlie Joe, this is what he's thinking in his head about what she says. Now look, Charlie thinks Miss Farrell. Well, based on what Miss Farrell said and then what Charlie was thinking, Charlie's thoughts, he doesn't think she knows, that's going to be a fun summer camp. All right. But my dad was into it. I really like the looks of this place, I have to say. He held out the brochure to me and grinned like an evil wizard. Want to take a look? Okay, so Charlie Joe's father, we know he likes the camp. He likes the camp. He thinks it's a great idea. No thanks, I said, but he gave it to me anyway. It was filled with kids reading and writing and doing other school-type things. There was one kid in a canoe, but he was wearing glasses and an oversized life jacket, and he looked like he would have been much happier with a dictionary than a paddle. 22. Okay, I tossed the brochure on the table and looked at my mom, begging her to speak up on my behalf, but I knew it was useless. The train to Camp Rickabuki was leaving the station, and my mom wasn't about to lie across the tracks and stop it. So Mom wasn't going to stop them from sending him to camp. Mom wasn't going to stop to send him to camp. She's thinking this might be a pretty good idea. But I was. What if I got straight A's this quarter? I blurted out before realizing it. Okay, turning point. So here I know right now that he's already thinking of a plan. He's got a plan. Things are going to change here. He's going to try to make a deal. He's blurting out, what if I get straight A's this quarter? He's going to change plans. No one said anything. I think they were all in shock. It's the last quarter of the year. How about if I get straight A's? You guys can't send me, okay? That sounds fair, said my mom, always ready to make a deal. My dad snorted out a laugh. Straight A's? You've never gotten straight A's in your life. Good point, I had to admit. You say it all the time. If I only worked harder and concentrated on my schoolwork, I could get really good grades, I pointed out. Charlie Joe's and parents' conversation. There's a question about this. So I know that Dad does not believe him. Dad doesn't believe it. Dad doesn't believe he can do it. He can get straight A's. Dad doesn't believe he can get A's. Mom is okay with it, with the deal, but Dad's not. That's a big if, Miss Farrell said. The quarter started over a week ago, and you're already off to a shaky start. I know it's a big if, I answered, suddenly very